Hello and welcome to Focus on Liberia. The program is the Hour of Politics. I'm Ansony Sieh. Welcome to yet another edition of the Hour of Politics. It's good to have you. I pretty much been away for some time. We were in trouble with Facebook. Facebook has suspended us for about a week. We are back, and if we can borrow from the CDC folks, we have come with fire. If there is anything called fire, welcome, welcome, and welcome to the broadcast. Ansony Sieh, always. Focus on Liberia, always. Let us get started here in no time. I was just enjoying the music. I didn't want to start. Classical Liberian music, There's something about this country that sometimes we don't get to see. Profoundly, incredibly professional music. If you're listening to the beat, the voice from the singer, come to think about how traditional it is, so classic. And it's from Liberia. So we really have it in us to be the best, to give our best. And that is what I continue to demand from all of us. We can do it. Let's get started, folks.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
And I am Ansony Sieh, the host of the Hour of Politics. Today's topic could not be so juicy, examining the performance of the CDC government. The government of President George Manawia, the CDC government, is in its fifth year. I think it's about time we take a step back and see how has this government performed so far. And that is what I am going to do for you. To get started, I will say to you, the performance of the CDC government has been nothing short of a letdown. The CDC government performance has been completely contradictory to everything the CDC had preached, continues to preach, claims to stand for. And that is what I am going to do today in this presentation. That the government of President George Manawia is a letdown. They came with this mantra of propos. From the get-go, they were not even ready for business. It's like they didn't even know they were going to win. And so they didn't even have a plan in the first place. But let me lay down the groundwork here quickly, folks. George Manawia and the CDC got elected in 2018. They took over from President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf after her 12 years rule. We can debate back and forth whether or not the Unity Party was up to the task. What we can agree on is George Weah took over a government that was in a much better place compared to the one Ellen Johnson Sirleaf inherited. The Liberia Ellen Johnson Sirleaf inherited was a dead Liberia, was a failed state, was a country that was not functioning. It was a government that was not in existence. That is why Ellen took over. Ellen did what she could. The Unity Party did what it could. And it brought Liberia to resemble a functional state. Institutions were created. Our government got functional. If any credit to the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, salary got current. And so when George Manawia took over, all he needed to do was to just continue, maintain, and sustain the institutions that were put into place, the little systems here and there that were put into place, but they were not functional, were not effective to a satisfactory level. All he needed to do, all his government needed to do, was to see how they could strengthen where the weaknesses were. But what did the CDC government do? CDC government came, it was like caught pens down from the get-go in the formation of the government, instead of continuing with the appointment of the bears and the branches of our country, so that we could continue on that little struggling trajectory our nation was on. The CDC put us in a reverse gear. They replaced the competent with incompetent people. And that was like a nail in a coffin from the get-go. So, folks, let us start further by saying this. For Liberia to be Liberia, the CDC government must be able to function effectively and to a satisfactory level, so that the provision of basic social services can be able to meet the needs of our people. And so in our system of government, the institutions must be used, as has been the case always, and not only Liberia, but in every country there is under the sun. And so, to those of you listening, if we are to get water provided, safe drinking water for the people of Liberia, we will rely on the Liberia Water and Sewer Corporation. Electricity is one other key thing. Electricity is one of the key things, to put it right, that we need as a country. The LEC is that institution that will be able to provide that service for our people. How is the CDC doing with that? If we can even start from the top, the Ministry of Presidential Affairs is like the administrator of the nation. It is that ministry or agency of government that provides the supervisory administrative direction for all the agencies of government, because that is where the office of the president is. So let us start with that as we drill down the list to give us a unique sense of how the CDC has been performing. Who is heading that ministry, by the way? The guy name is Nathaniel McGill. Let's see how qualified and competent and what kind of experience did he bring to the job. All of them serving as an assistant minister at the Ministry of Internal Affairs. Other than that, he did not even have a fitting job prior to that. Other than he did not even have an impeccable experience whatsoever before talking about international exposure. This Nathaniel McGill, who is now our country's de facto president and chief administrator of our country, came to the job with no proven experience whatsoever. So, fellow Liberians, you can see that the government was more like dead upon arrival because of the foundation that this government put into place. A McGill with no experience, no exposure. The man who has never managed anything in his life, unfortunately, became the chief administrator of the Republic of Liberia. The guy to basically lead the executive branch of government. And you know, in our system of government, we have this thing called the imperial presidency, where the president of the nation controls everything. And so if that person is not knowledgeable, if that person is not ideological, if that person does not possess the requisite experience and understanding and foresight, and if that person does not even have the ability to tap the right people to meet the challenges of the nation, it is obvious you are on a perilous path. So, what has Mange been up to? His track record has just been a political bag boy. He was a bag boy to Winston Tubman when Winston Tubman had joined the CDC. Our understanding is that he came from the MPP. Again, there in the MPP, he was more like a political bag boy. So we have a political bag boy, our nation's chief administrator. So the experience he brings to the job is that he totes bag, he carries bag for his boss. And so when you are a bag carrier, it's obvious you will become sycophantic, because that is the way you can thrive as a bag boy. You become yes, sir. Another experience Mange brings to the table is this idea of how to campaign, how to entice people, how to fool people. So Nathaniel Mange is doing what he knows best. The unfortunate thing about it is his best is a disaster for our country. He brings the expertise of being a bag boy. So he told Joshua bag. He knows how to take care of his boss by meeting the needs of his boss. So all he does is to make sure that Joshua is served. The president of Liberia is served. If he wants money, he gets the money. If he is to travel and if he needs about 145,000 person on his delegation, Mange approves that as the chief administrator of the country. This is a guy who manages Joshua, our president. And so Mange does not have the slightest understanding of their mantra called the Propo, a Propo government that is for the people that are subjected to abject poverty, the people that need every penny and dime to improve their life by providing safe drinking water, providing electricity for them, making sure that the schools are renovated and that the teachers are paid and that the teachers are trained. Don't get me started. Maybe I have already started. So Mange has no understanding of their own mantra. They went to Moscow. It was called Court 26. Mange, the Propo minister, the proper de facto president of Liberia, the guy who manages George Weah, the guy who tells George Weah everything. In his wisdom, he felt it was proper for a proper government to take 145% to a so-called program outside of Liberia. Each delegation, each member of the delegation plane ticket was purchased, hotel, per diem, and feeding for that length of time. Oh, folks, you see, McGill has no understanding of what it means when they say proper. How can a poor government, I guarantee you, the United States, the greatest and most powerful government, the richest country on the face of the earth, my research tells me they did not take 145 people to Moscow. The US government did not do that. It has a budget in trillions. And now we're talking about a poor, suffering Liberian government that begs on his need, asking foreigners for money to even fund its basic social services in Liberia. It's taking a 145%. And the thing that is proper. So that is your McGill. So folks, you see the picture I'm painting for you. Now, as though his lack of understanding of what proper is, of what governance is, he has become the guy who ordained corruption in our country. He has zero appetite for the fight against corruption. Why will McGill do that? In fact, when his boss, George Weah, our president, a guy who came from the slum of Gibraltar, who became a symbol of what the Liberian story is, who rise from poverty and hunger and suffering, who go through the racks of it all, will go to stardom. Oh, this guy is blessed. He acquired it all. He saw it all. He ate it all. But he will get poor. But because of the symbolism of what George Weah represents, the Liberian story, the ordinariness of George Weah, that it is seen in majority of the ordinary people. He was their kind. He saw everything and experienced everything the people continue to experience. So don't question them when they chose him. After all, many have tried. Those people were not their kind. Where was their kind? They were experimenting leadership. So they took him. Their understanding was superb. That the fact that he has walked in our shoes, he will cry our cries. He will hear our pains. He will fight for us. And so they felt that he needed their help. They were in the rain. They were in the sun. They took their little money and they printed t-shirts. They sang the song. The munya was louder, and it was louder. They were on a journey to ordaining one of their own. That is the path to their redemption. He came to power. He shed tears for them. They were sure that he would be up to the task. They were sure he would get to business to fight for them, to change their situation. Little did they know, this brother of mine, this brother of ours, this son of the soil, this son of Gibraltar was fake, pretentious, and was for no one other than himself. He is a cheat when it comes to providing and meeting the needs of the people. And so, folks, we are, upon taking office, did not initiate any effort for the people. We saw something. We saw condominiums flying in the roof for we are in no time when the masses have not taken pay. Spare me the justification that it was his own money. Oh, of course not. That was not his own money. He was senator. He did not build that. President Weah today is Liberia's first sitting president to be real estate manager in the walls of Tiawan Gonglo. Oh, Tiawan, you are point on. Our president has estates. Some people put it at 49. His presidential secretary put it, I think, somewhere around 14. I'm not sure. I have to go to Liberia to count the billings. And you think that would be enough for him? You think that will certify his insatiable thirst for material wealth? He had just started the journey. A slingshot for him. The nice tree house, he could not even paint. He would turn it into a palace. The photos that fought for him, that stood in the rain for him, they were waiting. And so when he initiated his first effort to reciprocate the love bestowed upon him by the people of Gibraltar, he cheated them. What did he do? He went to the Ministry of Finance to a little over $1 million US, went into the slum of Gibraltar, the place that get flooded when the people are sitting in the swamp. The people's homes get flooded with water. You think Weah will change that? What did Weah do? President Weah just changed the zinc on top of the zinc shocks. And so when he did that, when the rain came, they were still sitting in the swamp with flooded homes. These are people he lived with. This is a place where he lived. He could not change their situation for the better. He insulted their intelligence. He did so by stealing money from the Ministry of Finance. They told us the president was using his own money. Their analysis would bite the CDC. These brothers and sisters, they don't mean well for our country. They mean well for one man. They mean well for George Weah. George Weah is not Liberia. George Weah is not Liberia. The president of Liberia, George Weah, is not the proprietor of our country. Every Liberian is a proprietor of this country called Liberia. So spare me your feelings when the truth comes to your doorsteps. And this your message that, he hit the president. That's why he speaks boldly in this manner. And some people think it's insult. Take your debate somewhere. So, folks, I needed to pull it in the language of the guy who is good at literature. And so President Weah set a bad example, a terrible, terrible example. There is this saying in Liberia that follow the leader. They even have the song for it. If any good example our president has set is the example of recognizing the brilliance of our African dress code, the clothes that we wear as African. I'm talking about a purple suit. To President Weah's credit, he brought the purple suit to prominence in Liberia. And so every time I see somebody, I try to get one from Liberia. I even want the best because I see him with the best. So you see, we are only demanding the best from our leaders here, right? So those who are in the business of either producing and selling the African clothes, our best, I think business is better for them in Liberia. A symbolic demonstration and recognition of what is good about us as a people. President Weah elevated it to the highest standard. And so, despite political disagreements with him that folks in the opposition or just about anybody has against President Weah, they all crave for the purple suit. So you see, if President Weah has set a good example as a leader, but not amassing wealth from the get-go, but not appointing friends only, who are not in most cases qualified. If he were not appointing family members, people close to him, his social concubines, his ministers will not engage in that same behavior. It is a fact that our president has appointed people into government because he has had some form of social connection with them. And you know what I mean? We all know them. If you don't know, I know them all. They act all over the place. And most ministries and agencies, they may have had qualification, educationally speaking. Some may have had some experiences, but they are there because of that social connection. That is a bad example set by our leader. And so Mange does the same thing. And so they all do, or most of them do. That is how the leader has taught them to provide leadership. That is how the leader has taught them, or President Weah has exemplified how to lead. Now, if you don't believe me, then you should believe Momba Molu, the chairman of the CDC. He was clear, profoundly clear, when he said that. Have you forgotten about the evening sunshine? How the president was appointing people that he has social connection and social business with? Momba Monu was clear, so do not take my words for it. That was the chairman of the party speaking. And so, folks, Mangil being the chief administrator of our government, and President Weah being a terrible leader in every respect when it comes to governance, President Weah being a leader who brings zero seriousness to the office of the presidency. His entire goal is to enjoy the perks of the presidency, and even abused the perks at every chance he gets. And so that's why almost most ministers, to put it right, in his government continue to do this thing. So the Ministry of Presidential Affairs is a letdown. It is riddled with incompetence, with corruption, conflict of interest, and you name the rest. And so there's this saying in Liberia that the fish get rotten from the head. If the head of government is unserious, has no serious understanding, has no clue the impact of a terrible, poor, and weak leadership can have on a nation, if they do not understand that, then don't expect it from the Minister of Finance, Samuel Tuer. This guy is very eloquent. But Mr. Tuer's eloquence is all for him to deceive us. His performance has been another letdown in our country. Tuer has never submitted any budget on time. Tuer, the Ministry of Finance, does not submit budget performance report. And corruption is at the highest level ever at the Ministry of Finance. You want some facts? It was Tuer that these are 1 million to President We are to change people houses or roof in Claratown when they were lying to us. It was Tuer who took money from donors' account at the central bank. They stole the people money without the people knowledge. When the people wrote them and said, put our money back, and this should never happen again. Samuel Tuer would come with a useless eloquence by telling us that was borrowing initiative. How you initiate a borrowing scheme from the one you borrowed, and that one has no idea, but you are into the person's account and taking the money without the person's knowledge. Am I giving you some facts here? It was this very finance minister who made a decision that Liberia needed to borrow money or withdraw money from our reserve in New York. $25 million is the figure. And there was too much Liberian dollar floating on the market. And he came with his eloquence again. Excess liquidity. And it needed to be reduced. That money, though they did not spend, or I believe they spent about 17 million of that, a good number of that money was stolen in broad day. The GSC report was clear. But I tell you, we don't have a justice minister with spine who stands for justice. A Musadin, that report that we all read, that the people who carry on the SSI claim they have given money to some people at these addresses. When the GAC contacted those people, they said, no, we don't know what you're talking about. They talk about foreign exchange bureaus that they had in their own report that they have given money. The people said, no, we never saw anybody. And this Tuer, with his useless eloquence, would tell us that they have dealt with money exchangers in Negro Town, in West Point, and just about everywhere, and that they use unconventional means. Have you forgotten? Oh, our memory is fresh on this one because we are here for you. Unconventional means, according to 12 men, they didn't have to go through the commercial banks to collect the excess liquidity, plenty Liberian money on the market. And that they, the economic management team, could just walk in the street and just collect money from anybody. And that is how they did it. Unconventional means. Oh, yes, he is an unconventional minister of finance. That is why he does not submit a budget on time. That is why he does not submit budget performance report. And that is why he initiated something called harmonization, again, that cheated other people. And but I must say, though, if there's one good thing I might acknowledge that, because we are an institution of the fact, there's one good thing in that harmonization. Because the Ellen Justice administration were paying some people 7,000, 15,000, 17,000. And that was being cut down through the harmonization. The bad thing about the harmonization is they reduce money for some people that should not have gotten any cut in their compensation or salary. That is what they did. And that is the unfortunate part about it. So this is the kind of finance minister we're talking about. This is the very finance minister, a pro-poor finance minister, who will approve the funding of just about any trip that this government makes. You remember when they went to China? This finance minister bought a plane ticket valued at 25,000 United States dollars. Is that pro-poor? So folks, you see, if there's any achievement the pro-poor finance minister have had, I mean, that is their achievement. I mean, I'm not considering it as an achievement whatsoever. But according to them, they have been able to pay salary on time. That is the only thing that they talk about, the blowing the trumpet, as though that is an achievement. Someone works for you, you pay the person, and you think that is an achievement. So, folks, it tells you how low-minded these people think that they are doing our country a service. They are doing our nation a disservice. So that is your pro-poor minister. The Ministry of Finance is not up to the task. Samara Wolokoli is another minister of finance, or another is a deputy minister at the Ministry of Finance. Reports has said that this guy has companies that he's associated with, or there are companies that he's associated with, that are being given contracts by the very government, and these contracts are being financed by the finance ministry where he works. It is called conflict of interest. You don't do that. So this man takes the government money and ditches the money to his personal businesses. So that is the performance. This is all we get. That is corruption to the highest order. That is conflict of interest. And you think you will have the LACC to go after these people. Even if the LACC tries, Justice Minister Musa Dean will cut them loose. Just as he cut 12 loose when they stole some of the money intended for the map up. So folks, this very finance minister, through this government, came out with something they call stimulus package. $30 million. They were going to give our people rice. Our people needed to stay indoor. Some people did not get a grain of rice right there in Monrovia. What happened to that money? Psst. When the other report came out concerning this $30 million for so-called stimulus package, that what landed the auditors in trouble. And the auditors are no more. Mysterious, right? So what kind of coincidence is that? The much talk about stimulus package, they audited, and the people the audit established that bulk of the money was siphoned by these officials. Hey God. Those auditors died. The CDC government performance, folks. Our people are not safe. The police is ineffective. The police is underfunded. We have a police director called Patrick Suru who has zero understanding of what leadership is. This guy should be a bully guy in our country and not the head of policing in our country. These guys are taking our country for a joke. He is who he is as chief of police in Liberia because my understanding is that he was some kind of a bodyguard to President Weah some time ago. So you see, they are taking us for granted. The police, folks, is underfunded. Look at the police uniform. The last time I checked the budget, I think they have few dollars for police training. When I saw that, I said, what? Are these people serious? The EPA, the Executive Protection, the EPS, sorry, the Executive Protection Service, it is that security arm that is solely responsible for the protection of the president. In the budget, the EPA gets more money than the Liberian National Police that is designated by law to protect the lives and properties of all Liberians. Folks, you see it? The president are one man, but the people, fewer people. So if you look at the numerical strength of the EPS, it is less than 5% of the Liberian National Police. But a security force that is less than 5% of the Liberian National Police gets more money. Gets more money than the police that covers the entire country. Twisted logic, right? But that is how the pro-poor people think. So, folks, and who drafted the budget? Joshua, Samuel 12, and the people who claim that they are pro-poor people. Sickening, right? We will do the analysis, folks. So let's come to agriculture. How has the agriculture ministry been performing? Have you not heard about the corruption going on? If you are listening to me today, have you not watched our show when we had Talo Mwana, who is now former chief midwife and a nursing officer of the Republic of Liberia? She did resign her position. Tyler was here. She spoke boldly and fearlessly that at that Ministry of Health, drugs are stolen by even the Minister of Health and taken to her private clinic. Health supplies are taken by the minister herself. I read a report today based on an audit conducted by the GSC. Again, the Ministry of Health. No, the report I read today talk about the Ministry of Agriculture. Let me deal with the Ministry of Health first of all. The Ministry of Health is corrupt. The minister is engaged in corruption. Now, during the the COVID-19, the Minister of Health, funds that were allocated to fight COVID-19, her private clinic was being used as one of the health facilities. That is conflict of interest. It should not have been done. She is an official of government who runs a private clinic, who owns a private clinic where she directs or just steal, supply medical supplies intended for government hospitals. She's taking these things to a private clinic. And funds for COVID-19 taken to a private clinic. She stayed on the job. President George Manawia keeps her on the job. So let's talk agriculture. So Jenny M. Cooper is now the current minister of agriculture. She too is now caught in a web of corruption, conflict of interest. There are businesses she's linked to where she's directing contracts. Conflict of interest. She brought her own people in there because she wanted to have control. And they are all over the place doing what they do best, to cheat and steal from our people. To go back to the Ministry of Health, according to the recent GSC audit report, our health centers around the country, they're supposed to get medical supplies and drugs every 3 months. But since the CDC government took over, the supplies have been delayed by other 2 months. So instead of them getting supplies every 3 months, they are getting supplies either every 5 months or 6 months. And guess what? According to the GSC report, there are expired drugs at the hospitals. Some of the hospitals have no drugs at all. Go to Front Page Africa, you will see that story. Expired drugs are being given our people. Some health centers don't have drugs. In fact, the ministry is underfunded. They are depending on the donors to help them. Then when the donor gave them the money, they take the money or some of the money for themselves. How people will not be sick? Even at the National Drugstore, according to the auditors, they saw expired drugs on the shelf. According to that report, at some point they said they had trained 102 data analysts, people who will be able to handle the data about how many drugs, or how much the quantity of drugs that's supposed to be supplied at a particular hospital, to handle the inventory and all that. According to them, they have trained 102, and they have assigned those people to the counties. But the audit report established that they visited about 4 counties. Of the 4 counties, they did not see a single data analyst at any of those health centers they visited in the 4 counties. These are individuals, according to them, were trained to handle the records. Apparently, they didn't train them. Apparently, they were trained and said, well, we're not going to those counties because there's no incentive. The story is bleak. That is your CDC government. Let me go a little faster here. The Ministry of Defense, look at our soldiers. Look at their uniform. Have you now heard the cries of the defense minister begging that they should increase the budget? I mean, this is the National Army. Folks, it will shock you that the Ministry of Presidential Affairs budget is more than the Ministry of Defense. The military that is responsible to protect our borders. President George Manawia gets more money than the Ministry of Presidential Affairs gets more money than the Ministry of Defense. Here you go. I don't want to talk about justice ministry. We don't get justice. Musa Dean and Serena Cephas, I don't know what they're up to. Now, the National Port Authority is another thing. Did you not hear about the incident that happened in Buchanan, linking the NPA manager, Bay 12? This guy came to the United States. I think he was in Minnesota here. They're talking to Duluth, where we have the biggest lake, and they have a port there. And this man had nothing to say other than to say, well, Liberia budget has reached $780 million. I was watching the video. That's all he had to say. He was just laughing sycophantically. For the first time, the nation budget reached $780 million. I was just looking at him and I said, something wrong with this guy? Don't this guy even read newspaper? Does he even read? Did he read about Minnesota before coming? Amen. That's all he had to say. For him, it was an achievement for the CDC government to just project that we will raise 700 and let me put that $80 million. A projection for the past 8 years, we have experienced budget shortfall in Liberia. No projection. So when Samuel 12 said that they have budget surplus, it was a lie. They have experienced one budget shortfall after the other. And this guy came and sycophantically had nothing to say other than to boast of a projection. You are a port manager, MPA manager, and you have no clue what to talk about. And he was caught in the web of corruption too. What happens? The man is on the job. They conducted a phony investigation that excludes him of the wrongdoing. They put all the blame on the Buchanan port manager because he is the summum face. The big face walks away. Don't Liberians pay too much for duty free at the seaport? NPA. We are paying more than folks in the sub-region. What is that? Is the government propo? If you are a propo government in West Africa, how come your people are being charged more than what is being charged people in your neighboring country? Is that propo? These people are nothing but walking contradiction of everything they preach and stand for. I don't even think they stand for anything. They only stand for their mouth. Liberia Water and Sewer Corporation. Our people don't get water that is reliable. As though that is not a problem. Corruption is at a place. There has been one protest after the other since the CDC took over for main salary. But those managers at that place should be able to do a better job. You can't put everything on the government. This is a corporation that operates independently. But hey, let's talk about JFK. JFK is another trouble that we have on our hands. Have you not heard about our nurses protesting? I remember the video I watched. It was raining on that day when the nurses protested the work during the COVID. The government promised that they were going to give them special benefit for working during the COVID time. The government did not pay that money. The nurses were saying, well, you have to pay our money. We are humans too. We are Liberians too. We deserve better. The government of President Joshua issued a statement that if they don't go back to a job, they will have themselves replaced with nurses that are in training. Jesus, help us. You're talking about nursing students who have not had any practical experience were replaced. The qualified and experienced nurses who have been doing the job. All because the nurses are asking for what they work for. National Election Commission boss is caught in a web of corruption. But she's caught loose as we speak right now. This woman is on a job. She gave a contract to her brother firm to buy facial recognition terminals in the tune of $182,000. They could have just spent $56,000. The investigation was done by the LACC. They recommended her for dismissal, President. We did not add the case, went to court. They play all the legal technicalities. The woman is on the job as we speak. Despite of the serious allegation, there is no question that she was involved with that conflict of interest. That she awarded the contract to her brother that she knew. Conflict of interest does not matter to these people anymore. Ministry of Commerce. Prices are killing our people. The Commerce Minister is chilling. At this very Ministry of Commerce, at some point, the CDC government has set aside some money that they claim was intended to give small loan to Liberians as a way of creating jobs for them. Folks, what happened to that money? That money, corruption entered the room. At that time, Wisin Tape was there. At that time, Jemima Wolokoli was there. You remember the fight between Jemima Wolokoli and Wisin Tape, for which at some point she was suspended? Jemima Wolokoli spilled the beans at Tape. Tape was fighting. What happened? There was no serious investigation. President Joshua conducted or carried on a so-called reshuffle, move Wisin Tape to EPA. That is how the CDC government operates. And during that reshuffle, they moved Eugene Namwe, who, when the news of the 16 billion North scheme said that, well, we printed money in China, some money was printed in South Africa. This is Eugene Namwe, who is on record for saying that, well, for taking the money from the donors' account, he called it D-hole, cover hole. And that during the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration, they did that. So his justification was stealing was okay because Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government did some stealing. That behavior qualified him to become boss of Maritime. That's your CDC government for you. Ministry of Gender, they came up with their roadmap in the fight against sexual and gender-based violence in Liberia, protecting our girls and our sisters. That ministry is another letdown. Our sisters, our girls are getting raped. No serious action has been done. They are way behind in the implementation of their so-called gender roadmap. The Minister of Gender is still on the job. She is a confidant of the president. She enjoys everything. And so, despite of all these excesses, she rose on the job. She's untouchable. They call her the mother of the revolution. Yes, revolution by foot. Revolution that is cheating our people of everything. Revolution of stealing. Revolution of misery. Revolution of subjecting our people to abject poverty. Revolution to reduce the living standard of our people. Revolution by foot. Yeah, we've seen the revolution. We saw the headquarters the last time you guys were there to celebrate your 17th anniversary. Yeah, we saw the people. Revolution, yeah, we listened to Lester Tenney. Revolution by foot. We've seen the revolution to steal from our people. We've seen the budget filled with pork for President Weah and all of you, his ministers, and nothing for our people. Yes, we've seen that revolution. Ministry of Public Works is another letdown. Let's talk about the RIA, LAA, Liberia Aviation Authority / RIA. Are we not tired of planes coming and diverting because we can't keep the lights on at the airport? The airport, foreigners' money, we use foreigner money to build the airport. We can't keep the lights on. President Weah, in his effort to find a solution, appointed somebody with zero managerial experience at any agency. That is a guy to bring in. Blessedly for us, I heard, I'm not sure, they has not been confirmed by Focus on Liberia, that there is about $40 million being put together from the international community or the donor partners to help with the issue. Our government is incapable. Mr. Twe said we have to make a hard choices. We got to find 24 million. We're going to find 24 million for someone. This guy is saying they are collecting record-breaking revenue. And now he tells us they're going to make hard choices. What is the record-breaking revenue? Take some. Aren't sedition celebrating every penny that's been given by a foreigner? That is an achievement now in our country. That when a foreign nation feels sorry for our country because there's for poor people and give our country maybe $5 million or $30 million, the CDC government celebrates. That is an achievement. So, folks, let me come to this. University of Liberia, there have been protests because of salary. Teachers have complained and no one is listening to them. We see some renovation work going on. That is great. But the internet that they boast of is not reliable. The e-learning thing they talk about, it is not at any appreciable level at all. Professors are getting less paid than staff in those offices, in the secretarial section. The students have protested one after the other for bad learning conditions, leaking roof and all that. 5 years later, the CDC is trying to renovate the University of Liberia. So we all heard about the airport. We are still struggling with that. The money that was being collected from COVID-19, $25 to come in and leave. No accountability whatsoever. There is not even a single report as to how much being collected and how that money is being used. We heard from people there that at the end of the day, there's a pickup that will come, they put the money, pickup gone. Where the money goes, no one knows. That is your nation's story. That is the CDC government for you. We are examining the performance of the CDC government. Deaths, hardship, rapes, barrows, even though we have a barrow medicine. The CDC has been constructing markets here and there, but our people don't even have money to go in that market to buy. If they went there, the prices would be high in the first place. The excuse is that, well, prices are going up all across the world. Even rice price got to be that expensive when it is our staple. Is the government carrying on any subsidy? Is the government opening the market in any shape and form to inject the necessary competition in the market to lead to the reduction? The CDC government came with something they call the propose rice. This is rice that was given to all by a foreign nation. They read back, they write a propose on it. They said they were going to sustain it. The other lie they told was the propose rice scheme. It was something owned by a Liberian businessman. So the businessman gone out of business now, for which we don't see. You see how these people can just lie. You took the rice given to us by a foreign nation. You found somebody who said that's a man business. That a man business, then you put propose on it. Did the businessman tell you to pour your party mantra on the rice? You see? And sometimes they lie until they don't know how to lie anymore. So how could that be a businessman conducting a business in Liberia and you put your party propose on the rice? And then we saw the Inspector General of Commerce in the Republic of Liberia was in the street selling the very propose rice for $10. The Inspector General of Commerce in Liberia is selling rice for a businessman and he has a propose on it. We have to get serious. So, folks, if we talk about governance in Liberia, the CDC is a letdown. It's a disaster. Do not get fooled by the political projects. Bidding markets, spending sometimes around 2 million, 3 million, 5 million. And most of the money you check, like the one in Douala, Japan gives some money. The renovation that is going on right now at the SKD, Focus on Liberia, carried the story today. We sent our reporter there for you to see the work. That work is being financed by another foreign nation, not our government. We're talking sports. The sports, the football that made president, we have to be president today. That is what we are talking about. 5 years later, our national stadium was banned, that it was not fit to be used for any game. So our games are being hosted in a foreign nation, honor the world best. So if President Weah were to succeed and to be effective in any area, one would think that would be in the area of sport. But look at Lone Star. Lone Star is at the lowest ever in Liberia's history. At some point, Lone Star was at ranking was 70. Under President Weah, our ranking has dropped to 156, if I'm not mistaken, according to the Minister of Youth and Sports, the Deputy Minister for Sports at the Ministry of Youth and Sports. So let's talk about our Lone Star. Honor a former Lone Star icon, world best. This is his area. The son said everybody got their area. And he said, making music is my area. But this making music, President Weah took it as his area. He produced Lion Man. He produced the coronavirus song. He gave a Woki Woki. And not only that, he's also dancing. We have a dancing president. He dances Buka. By the way, you go on my page, my Buka dance is better than President Weah's Buka dance. So he's decking Buka dance. The other day he was dancing what's it called? Zombie. So let's talk about the Liberian Lone Star. Lone Star made George Weah who George Weah is today. Football made George Weah the president he is today, the senator he was, the ambassador he became. That is an area. And in the brothers' area, in the president's area, Liberia is a failure. Our sports stadium, SKD, it was built or renovated with the Chinese people money. We could not even maintain it under President Weah. President Weah came to power, he forgot about Lone Star. He forgot about SKD where he played. Amen. So the man who cannot succeed, who is a failure in his area, and you people are telling me the man is succeeding and when it comes to the area of governance, the economy, and you think he's succeeding? When it comes to national development, and you think he's succeeding? Do you want me to believe that? GM Professionals, that was his team. It failed. Every business under him failed. But let me not leave that. Let us come to governance. Let us discuss the national team of Liberia. The Lone Star. Thank God I'm flying that flag. Lone Star got humiliated by Morocco. Under President Weah, we do not have an academy for sports, for soccer, for football in Liberia. These men who have seen sports academy across the world, who visited them, Morocco got one. We don't have one. President Weah built his coming billions in less than 1 year into office. He could not build a single one for our boys. So We are failing. Somebody I heard saying, I think we have played about 21 games. And of the 21 games, I think we won about, 2 or 3. Honor President Weah. We can't qualify for anything. We cannot qualify for any major competition under President Weah. This icon, the master of the game, this wizard of the game, Mr. Brilliance of the game, in the area, we are failing and failing terribly. What is the budget of Lone Star? Can someone help me? The renovation what you see going on there, according to the Minister of Sports today, he said, I think they had a 1 million in the budget for the renovation. But President Weah gets 5 million. So let us hear from some Liberians. When Lone Star was defeated by Morocco 2-0, we have put our hope in that game. It was the game that Focus on Liberia was streaming live, for which Facebook said we had infringed on copyright. We were streaming the game for our country. We wanted to take the game to thousands of Liberians to see. And we got into trouble. So let's hear from some Liberians. In President Weah era, what they think. So here is Leo Nampolo Johnson. He said, Ellen Lone Star versus George Weah Lone Star. Which one is better? I think the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf Lone Star is better than the George Weah Lone Star. Folks, can you imagine that? That is a serious question. I think Liberia performed, or the Lone Star performed better on Ellen Johnson Sirleaf than President George Weah, who played the game. Leo continues. So after 4 years of the presidency of the only African to hold the prestigious award of World Best Footballer, this is the best award our national team can produce. Leo Johnson is a leader in our community. He's president of the Liberian Association in Canada. He is building state-of-the-art learning center. President Weah is yet to build a single library, but he has built several homes for himself. A single library. And yet the Unity Party people now can't talk anything here. You base 0 library for us. I don't know of any. Leo is making the statement, asking this question. So after 4 years of the presidency of the only African to hold the prestigious award of World Best Footballer, this is the best our national team can produce. We are tired of the Daywell Trophy. This is President Weah's friend, Benjamin Kofa-Fanier. He is running for president too. Ben, when you're ending the campaign have not even started yet, maybe. It is rather a disgrace that our national soccer team is homeless under a president whose route to the presidency was via soccer. So Lone Star is homeless. Our national team does not have a home. Honor the man who played the game best. Ben continues. The fact that our national stadium, the SKD complex, remains banned from hosting international competitions. It is the pinnacle of incompetence of George Weah's presidency. And so to those of you, my friends, who come with your emotions, who think we hate President Weah, when we bring out the facts and do the analysis for us to know where we are. SKD, Dan Onowia, this is the main area. We are nowhere. Our standing has downgraded from 70 in FIFA to 156. And Ben concludes, this is shameful and embarrassing. This situation needs to be rectified. Abraham Doda writes, Liberia is the only country on planet Earth that can be fasting and praying to win games while her friends are doing serious preparation. We keep giving God a hard time in every area. We Liberians should not be giving God a hard time in the area of soccer or sports, because we have produced world best as our president. Yet, we are fasting and praying for our national team to win a single game. The fact that we have reduced it to prayer and fasting, when we have the world best that we produce, folks, it means that we are in trouble. We are in serious trouble. So the final thing I'm going to do here is to bring you some numbers. My friend Dennis Yard told me, as a government, there's something they call priorities. Show me your budget, and then I will tell you where your priorities are. So let's talk sports. Let's talk about the youth of Liberia. Let's talk about youth and sport. This is the president area. The young people elected him because he plays sports. Liberians came to love him because as a poor boy from Gibraltar, he plays sports so well that he rose to the top of the world. And they said he was worthy of the Liberian's highest office, the presidency. So if there is anything this guy should understand, it should be with the youth and sport business. So this is the place he must succeed by fire, by force. So this place should be dear to him. What? Yeah, you can go. Sorry, guys. My beautiful daughter is talking to me. So this area should be dear to him because it made him who he is today. So let's look at some numbers. Where is the president priorities? Don't listen to that thing that, oh, rose. Do you not see all the bar rolls and you call himself bar roll medicine? What happened at Coastal Highway? They said they were getting $1 billion to pay the Coastal Highway. So let's talk some numbers and see. So folks, the Vocational Training Center, in the 2020 budget, our government of President Weah gave $152,000 for the Monrovia Vocational Training Center. This is a place that's supposed to train the youth of Liberia, the youth that elected President Weah. And if he is to get elected again, it would be because of the youth. They gave the Vocational Training Center in Monrovia $152,000. But Clyde Weah got $700,000, pretty close to $1 million. And President Weah got $5 million. But the Monrovia Vocational Training Center gets just $152,000. Folks, are you paying attention? Now, there's something they call coastal sanitation project. You remember some time back, they were cleaning the beaches and they have recruited a lot of young people. They were doing this in consultation with the Monrovia City Corporation, right? The youth and sport was doing that. They wanted the beaches to be clean. So that was a program they put together to employ more of the young people so that they would earn some money for themselves. So the coastal sanitation project, they budgeted $1 million. Now, if you remember, at some point, those children work, those young people work, and they were not paid, and they were protesting. And there was a back and forth between the city corporation and the Ministry of Youth. They didn't pay those boys protested. They put 1 million in there. What are they going to do with that 1 million? So this is the government that is talking about youth empowerment, youth employment, but 1 million. So that is less money there than what President we, I guess. But again, he is a useful president, some claim, and also he is the guy for the youth. Now, there's something under the Ministry of Youth and Sport budget they call transfer to county meet. In other words, the county sport meet that we hear about every year there's county meet. We see the even President Weah, he violated that and he became a player. As an official of government, he was not supposed to have been head of state. I don't know whether they changed the laws. I think they modified. But President Weah, who retired, came from retirement and denying young people the opportunity. This president is so greedy, and I will not hesitate to say that. There is so many ways he could motivate the young people. He played, he retired. The National County Sport Meet, the government put together or set aside $67,000 only for National County Sport Meet. But the president's wife gets $700,000 for humanitarian work. She has turned to a humanitarian now. In the budget under the Ministry of Youth and Sport, SKD Sport Complex, they put $70,000. 70,000. That is less money. President Weah, just for printing alone in his office, he gets over 200,000. Now, there's something under the Ministry of Youth and Sport they call grassroots sport development. For grassroots sport development, they budgeted 5,000. Are you listening to me, fellow Liberians? The pro government budgeted 5,000. I didn't say 500,000. 5,000. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,000. That is what they budgeted for grassroots sport development. We're talking about grassroots sport development. And you put a 5,000, a negligible amount of 5,000, and you call yourself a government for the youth. These people are not serious, and I'll say it. Transfer, Federation of Liberian Youth. Federation of Liberian Youth get 100,000 for 12 months for their operation. But the First Lady gets 700,000. That is 600,000 more than what all the youth in Liberia get, the Federation of Liberian Youth. Folks, are you paying attention to me? Now, the National Basketball Federation of Liberia. The Basketball Federation of Liberia get 5,000. You listening? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5,000. That is what the Basketball Federation gets in the budget. This government, the pro government. Folks, do you think, are they for the poor people? Are they for the youth? Are they for sports? Women and Sports Association in Liberia. Women and Sport Association in Liberia. Under the Ministry of Youth and Sport. Who can guess how much? $500. Yeah, you heard me. I didn't say 5,000. 500. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 100. 5 with 2 zeros. That is what Women and Sports Association gets under the Ministry of Youth and Sport budget. And that is your pro government. President Weah is from my Grand Crew. They have something they call the Grand Crew TVET. TVET is Technical and Vocational Education. The Grand Crew County TVET, the whole county TVET get 10,000. 10,000 US dollars to train young people, to give them skills for employment in Grand Crew County. 10,000. President Weah is from Grand Crew. The people of Grand Crew, y'all enjoy your man. Really? Folks, are you listening? You want more numbers? Now, the Muslim Youth Organization. The Muslim Youth Organization is the umbrella organization of the Muslim youths in the country. The Muslim youth get 2,500 for the whole year. Muslim Youth Organization is the umbrella organization of all the Muslim youths in our country. They get 2,500. So these Muslim youth are yelling all over the place, pro strong, Propo is really strong. Now, the Maryland County Youth Center, Maryland County in the southeast, the Maryland County Youth Center get 2,500. 2,500 for Maryland County Youth Center. 2,500. The high school football championship in Liberia today, they have the high school football championship. So in football or soccer in Liberia, the high schools compete. How much money our government put aside? This is another way of tapping talents, directing youth in the direction of soccer so that they can become successful. Guess how much money the Propo government set aside for these poor people, these poor children in high school playing football? 1,000. You heard me, one, as in one. $1,000. That is the budget. But the first lady gets 700,000, and President Weah gets $5 million. National Keyboard Federation, to our sisters who can play keyboard. The National Keyboard Federation of Liberia, our sisters, they get 3,000. But Claude Weah gets 700,000 and President Weah gets $5 million. I will leave it there, and you just cry your own cry. So, folks, that is the CDC government performance. Show me your budget, and I will tell you where your priorities are. That is our government. That is your Propo government. A government that does not care for the people. No wonder why, according to Lester Tennant, one of the seditionists who showed at the party headquarters said, Brabi, that scan not going to work for us. Under this government, Zogos are all around. All they do is just go raid there one at a time. In fact, some of those drugs dealers are in some kind of scheme with some police officers. So they stick around. They are not rehabilitating these youth. So, folks, I hope I was able to give you a semblance of the CDC government's performance 5 years later. It is your decision now to make. Whether this government of President Weah, the CDC government, deserves another term. Some may say it deserves another term because they are building markets, the Omega markets. That money that they used to pay came from foreigners. The Douala market, that money came from foreigners. So, folks, there you have it. If you don't care that these people have no love for this country, that they are all about themselves, that they are bailing for themselves and cheating our people of our national cake and subjecting them to misery and mayhem and poverty, then I don't know what to tell you. When it comes to travel, their delegation can be very huge. Embassies around the world are crying. Some have not taken pay as we speak. The last time there was an article in a newspaper about our embassy in Washington, D.C. in the United States of America. I think I heard a citizen of Liberia have to go to the rescue of that embassy to do some cleaning. So you see, this thing is uglier than you think. Don't mind the munya munya. Don't mind the pictures of buildings that you see. People don't eat buildings. You can be hungry, you're in a building, you don't care how it looks. Your life is worthless without the ability to earn a living and to feed your children and send them to school. There are many people out of school today. When we are in peace or at peace, see how bad things are. And why we are at this crossroad the president dances. While we are at this crossroad, you dare not criticize him, they will tell you you are a hater. Some will insult you. But we'll take the insults and we'll fight for the soul of this country. I brought you the topic, the performance of the CDC government. And if I may add, 5 years later. If what they've done is enough to deserve a second term. To you, the voters, maybe who don't hear me well, it's your choice to make. Some of us will keep pushing the cartoon. You deserve better, and you need to know that you deserve better. Street light, solar panel light that they have planted, and some they put on there. We are 2023. These are all campaign projects. This is not governance. No, it's not. This is not governance. When you see Maggie going from county to county, giving students scholarship and paying their school fee, no, that is not governance. That is not governance. They are still in the campaign mode. When people campaign, they give people crumbs so that they can get into power and they can eat all the bread. That is not sustainable in our country. I hope you are hearing me well. If you are a citizen, you know things are not right. But it's like you don't have a choice when you do. You have a choice to choose between the nation and your party. Minus the country, your party will not exist. 17 years later, everything you preach in the CDC, you are doing the opposite. When it comes to the fight against corruption, you are the worst of all. Mysterious death is happening under the CDC government. I will say no more, for I've said something. My name is Ansony Sieh, and I brought you another edition of the Hour of Politics. I will take a break, and when I come back, I will close.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
And I am Ansony Sieh, and this is how I will close the broadcast. The history of Liberia is simple and beautiful. Liberia was created as a free black nation for all black people, so that they would thrive and live as free men and women. That there will be a republic where all men will be equal under the law. That there will be economic activities and the provision of basic social services for them. The government was intended to be accountable to the people. But the history, especially in the recent past, has not been pleasant for us. We have had educated people to lead our country. Many Liberians, especially ordinary Liberians, did not appreciate their contribution. They didn't see much. They felt their life was not changed, and the country did not get the development that they needed. And so that necessitated a revolution of grassroots who mobilized around a man called George Weah, an icon of football. He was that symbol of what the ordinary Liberian man and woman and girl represented. And so it was obvious they needed to bring their kind. Their better kind was Weah. Because even during our years of trouble, when the nation was dark and it was bloodshed in the land, the only thing that has projected a positive image of that country was the national team. And the guy who was at the forefront is now President Weah. He was an example of an ordinary man becoming something in our country and becoming a better representation. So they chose him, for they saw him as their kind. All along, they wanted good roads. All along, they wanted safe drinking water. All along, they wanted better schools. All along, they wanted better lives. They wanted jobs. They wanted to be respected. They didn't get it from the people they saw as educated people. So in their calculation, a guy of their kind would do it. And so they brought him to power. They were hopeful. They had no doubt he would deliver. For them, it was about love that he needed. So we heard words that he has the country at heart. Today, I'm not sure they are right, except for the stubborn ones who will think that way. I don't want to hold them responsible for making a decision. In life, we experiment. It is scientific to experiment. But when you don't get the expected result, you try another. I'm saying Weah has been tried, and he has been proven to be a failure. He has proven to not know what he's doing. If you don't elect Weah, Liberia remains. If you elect Weah, Liberia remains, but Liberia may still be in a difficult place. So what do? You stick where we are and get crushed by hunger, disrespect, misery, and our country is not respected, and diplomatic folks talking to us in just any kind of way. Our president is being called all manner of names. That he's a kleptocrat. That the government is a kleptocratic government. A government headed by thieves. Our president, the guy you chose, who you said love you, that he will be transparent, that he will not steal. He said he can't tell you what he has. After refusing to declare his assets, at some point a journalist came, a foreign journalist came, and they will let that guy to interview him. He sat with him. He said, Mr. President, why can you not disclose your asset? He said, I have my family protect. He ran 2005. He showed why he had. 2014, he showed it. 2011, when he ran with Winston Thomas, he showed it. What we saw was around $500,000 in your bank account around Chase Manhattan Bank, Chase Bank. So he really didn't have money. So from 2011 to the time he became president, he was broke. Couldn't even afford to buy himself a car, at least to talk about child support. But this is a guy today is just having everything. This is a guy who is dancing. This is a guy you love. This is a guy you think loves you. So how is he showing this love, if I may ask? In the budget? They have not read some numbers to you in his own area of expertise. Lone Star is homeless. Lone Star cannot win again. We are banned at our stadium. That is area. Let me show you something. And before I show it to you, let me ask you a question. Does the Liberian Lone Star have a website? The Lone Star of Liberia. Does it have a website? No, it does not. I hate when people say you can't compare Liberia with America. I don't like that. Josh Weah came from Liberia. He won War Best. A War Best title, an American citizen might not be able to win in the next 50 years. Josh Weah came from this Liberia. He won War Best. The War Best title, maybe a French citizen might not be able to win in the next 10 years. Well, spare me about Zidane. He's an African. He came from, I think, Algeria. So spare me with that. So let me show you this. Does the Lone Star of Liberia have a website where our players' names are listed that shows the schedule, their budget, and everything? Do we have that? If anybody wants to know about the Lone Star of Liberia, this is President Weah's area. He plays for Chelsea. Chelsea has a website. He played for AC Monaco. You know all the teams more than I do. All the teams he played for, they have website. Does Lone Star have one under President Weah? Those of you who are sport enthusiasts, you want to know more about any of these things, go on their website. They have all the information. Does Lone Star have a website? This is one of the easiest things. I don't know if Lone Star does. But here's the thing. I pulled this information from the website of the U.S. national soccer team. If you go on the website is www.ussoccer.com. If you go on the website, this is financial information, as you can see. So they have their budget there listed on the website, 2021 all the way from 2011 to 2021. So in the middle there, the first row you see there, the first row from top to bottom, that is the budget here. That is the budget there. Then far on my right-hand side, what you see there, they call it what? Audit financial statement. So on the U.S. national team website, they have their budget listed, how much money they have set aside to spend on the national team. And that budget, after being expended, there's an audited statement to show whether the money was used for the intended purpose. Do we have anything like that in our country? Let's go on Ministry of Finance website. Let's see their budget as a ministry, and let's see the audited copy or statement. Let's go on Youth and Sport website. Let's see their budget, and then let's see the audited statement. Can we do that? Oh, that one to be right. But let's come to Lone Star and that President Weah era. Do we even have a website for Lone Star? Do we have the budget of Lone Star listed there? And do we have? So don't tell me don't compare US with that. Don't do this thing. If you want to be the best, you aim for the best. If the US is the best, fight to be, prepare to be, train to be, do everything to be like the US. Why are we here? Why are we here in the United States? Because we want to get the best employment. We want to get the best education. That's how it works. So when we are here, we compete in their schools. We compete at the job site. We compete everywhere. And you say we will not compete with US because US is bigger. Spare me that. This is how we set the standard so low and we settle for nothing. I will leave here. I don't want to start another show. Folks, until I catch you again, I hope I did close well. I hope my closing was something to get you thinking better, deeper, and seriously. Until I catch you again, the name remains the same, Ansony Sieh. The network remains the same, Focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. The son that closes the broadcast remains the same as well. We are all Liberians. President, we are is, you are, I am. We should all demand the best from us. That's the only way our nation will be the best. To settle for crumbs because you are a single fan will not get us there. Thank you. Enjoy the song. We are all Liberians. And bye-bye.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Liberia.